Welcome to the Mile High Fight Show, where we break down the latest in the fighting world. And today, we go over the Dos Anjos versus Fiziev Fight Night. As always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Enrique Cisneros. Are you ready to jump into this, Enrique?
Absolutely, sir.
Let's do it. So, first of all, before we start here, next week card is going to be between Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. We're looking forward to that one. And then let's go ahead and go over this fight night here. Main event was between the lightweight Rafael Dos Anjos versus Rafael Fiziev. And this was a back and forth bout that made it to championship rounds. Fiziev won the first 3 rounds, laying down pressure and solid strikes, only for Dos Anjos to make a push in the fourth, looking fresher than Fiziev and landing a brutal flying knee plus a takedown. But Fiziev had none of it, as he dropped Dos Anjos just 15 seconds into the 5th round to take it and solidify his claim as an up-and-coming lightweight contender. And I think he called out, he wanted like a top 5 lightweight for his next fight. I don't know if he's necessarily going to get that, but he called it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a perfect, honestly, I think this is perfect for the lightweight scenario because we just needed a little bit of new blood in the lightweight title scene. I thought this was a very entertaining fight. Rafael Dos Anjos, a complete legend. I mean, if you go back and look at this man's resume, he really has fought everyone you can fight. I mean, he's fought Khabib, he's fought Anthony Pettis, he's fought the list just goes on and on and on the guys that RDA's fought, and he takes on another killer in Rafael Fiziev, so the sequence that Fiziev used to finish RDA was very beautiful to me because he had been faking this knee for a good portion of the fight. He had just kept faking throwing this knee. He fakes throwing the knee up. RDA goes to block a knee, and he comes underneath it and catches him, and that's when he's able to stun RDA. Mm-hmm. RDA goes down, and he's able to finish the fight. So it's just, if you go back and you watch the highlight of it, you see how he fakes the knee, RDA reacts to it, and then he's able to counter and land some good shit and put RDA out. And honestly, this is what you almost wanted to see from guys. Like, this is what you want to see from, like, Sean O'Malley. You know, like, this was Rafael Fiziev's toughest opponent yet. And it was a back and forth fight. Obviously, I thought Fiziev's striking skills were out ahead even before he had finished the fight. But, you know, this is what you want to see. You want to see that these top contenders can, you know, beat guys above them, ranked above them, beat these legends of the sport, and really establish a name for themselves. Honestly, like, give me like a Rafael Fiziev and like Michael Chandler. Give me a Rafael Fiziev and, I mean, any of those guys. Gaethje would be crazy, actually. Gaethje would be, actually, I think Gaethje might be the fight. And that's only because, honestly, Gaethje's on a skid right now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately for the boy.
I don't even want to admit it. But...
I know. Well, and to be honest, the other thing that's kind of sad too is, like, if you go and look at Gaethje's UFC record, it's like not the best. So maybe like 6-4 or some shit. So yeah, I mean, if Fiziev could fight someone that's on a skid, you just never know. I mean, like, Rafael Fiziev's striking, I think, makes him very dangerous to anyone that wants to fight him. I think that guys like Islam Makhachev, maybe the champ Charles Oliveira, could give him some trouble, but those guys are elite of the elite at this division. So yeah, I think that if he wants a top 5 guy, I don't mind that at all. I do think that another thing that's going to shake up the lightweight division is Alexander Volkanovski. I really do think that if it's not Islam versus Charles for the vacant title, just make Volkanovski and Oliveira fight for the vacant title right now. I think that's a very entertaining fight. So yeah, I mean Dustin Poirier is looking for a fight as well. So Rafael Fiziev, Dustin Poirier would be a striking delight. And yeah, I mean honestly, I'm just looking forward to Rafael Fiziev's next fight. This is a guy I've been watching kind of grow into the UFC over his career. And every single time he's been tasked with a bigger name and a bigger opponent as far as being ranked ahead of him, he's pulled it out. So congratulations to Rafael Fiziev on a wonderful fight. Shout out to RDA for fighting another killer, because that's literally all he fights. And yeah, it was just a good back and forth with a nice finish to end the night. And yeah, it was just a good one. So I was really excited. I was really excited for this main event. Really excited for this card.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely delivered. And before we move on here, I did want to double back on the point that you made about the knee from Fiziev, that he had been trying, and that's kind of like what you love from a lot of these, especially the elite guys and the guys that do contend or want to contend. In Fiziev's case, is you want to see like those chess matches, and that's a perfect example of that, where he was building up to it and tried it multiple times but didn't land it. And then that time he didn't even have to land it, but because he had been building that threat, Dos Anjos paid attention to it and blocked it, or tried to block for it. And then Fiziev was able to use that opportunity that he created to land the stunning strike to finish it. So I love that shit. And I think that was a great point to bring up. And that's a perfect example of those chess matches that you love to see, especially from a main event fight on a fight night card here. So with that, we can move on to the co-main event, which was a middleweight bout between Caio Borralho versus Armen Petrosyan. Sorry, I think I butchered both of those names. But one of the less exciting fights of the night. Borralho dominated on the ground to get a unanimous decision, with neither fighter doing much in the way of damaging the other.
Yeah, I mean, this fight was definitely a bit disappointing. Honestly, I was kind of surprised that this was the co-main, the co-main, because nothing wrong with these guys. I just thought that, like, if I'm being honest with you, like the Jared Vanderaa and Chase Sherman fight, that was an exciting fight. We'll obviously talk about it in just a second, but I thought that could have been a co-main, just because, I mean, both those guys are strikers. They're heavyweights. I thought that could have been nice. But Saeed Nurmagomedov, obviously being cousins with the legend, the Hall of Famer Khabib Nurmagomedov, that's, the Nurmagomedov name is just almost strong enough to carry a co-main event title just on its own. So yeah, I mean, this fight was, sometimes UFC fights are like the Yuri Prochazka and Glover Teixeira fight. It's one of the most exciting fights ever, and it's a war. And sometimes it's just kind of a snoozer, and that's okay. This one happened to be a little bit of a snoozer, and Brohalo, yeah, that is a tough name to say. Was able to get him on the ground and dominate and execute his game plan, and get a unanimous decision. So congratulations on him. Hopefully these guys can both learn from, whatever mistakes they both made in the fight, and can capitalize on it and get back and maybe give us a little bit of something different the next fight out. But otherwise, just I don't know, just a fight on this one. Not too much to say about it, unfortunately.
Right, just a fight. Yeah, I mean, it's like they got the finish, and like you said, congratulations. And at the end of the day, there is that entertainment factor, and it's like, I mean, that's kind of I go back and forth on it, because that was kind of the argument about the main event with Adesanya in the last card, was that it just wasn't an exciting enough fight. And like, yes, I get that, but there's also something to be said for just dominating and getting the win. You know what I mean? Is it exciting? No, but it's still valid. It's a valid way to win a fight. So I don't know. There's a balance to be had there for sure, though. But yeah, this one was a little bit of a snoozer. So our next fight here, which did mention bantamweight bout between Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Nurmagomedov. Dang, struggle. Which, yeah, you said it, the cousin of Khabib, and we love to see that. But they're completely different fighters. Saeed much more of a striker, and yeah, although a solid back and forth with Silva de Andrade, putting some hurt on Saeed Nurmagomedov, Saeed was able to mostly dominate the fight and take it home by decision, moving to 6-1 in his UFC career. And although not looking spectacular, he has a lot of power in his hands and enough technicality to use it effectively in the UFC. Now we'll see what he can do against higher competition.
Yeah, and I thought that was perfectly put, Ryan. Saeed Nurmagomedov is definitely a different fighter than his cousin, or even his fellow teammate in Islam Makhachev. Um, and honestly, surprised the fuck out of me. I haven't seen Saeed fight in a little while, and so I kind of, obviously with the Nurmagomedov name and him being Dagestani, I was kind of under the impression that we might get a little bit more wrestling, but he stood up and banged with him for the majority of the fight. I thought Saeed looked super snappy on his jab. I thought the first round especially, he was just very, very crisp and technical with all of his striking. Very powerful strikes, very powerful leg kicks whenever he threw them. And I thought Saeed looked great. I'm actually, I paid attention to him a little bit, but sometimes you just, the last name hype kind of carries a little bit. And so I honestly was paying attention to him halfway, just because I didn't want to only pay attention because he's Khabib's cousin. But I didn't necessarily see tons out of him his first couple UFC fights. I don't know. I was just kind of casually following him. But after this fight, I think this is one of his better performances for sure. And yeah, I think for sure I'm going to be looking out for Saeed going forward, especially in the bantamweight division. At the top of that division, it's pretty deep. 135 is kind of scary, honestly, with guys like TJ Dillashaw, obviously the champ Aljamain Sterling, Peter Yan, etc. But Saeed offers a little bit of a size difference for that weight class, as far as like his height and his reach, and so that's something that I think can be very interesting going forward. He's able to keep up his very impressive UFC career. Moving 6-1 is no joke. Obviously, he's going to start facing tighter and tighter competition, and when you have guys like the aforementioned guys I just mentioned, Cody Sandhagen, just the killers in that bantamweight class, you really have to take the higher ranked guys very seriously. Every fight going forward is going to be tough, even more so with his last name. Guys are really going to want to put it on him and make themselves known, because if you could beat the cousin of a Hall of Famer, when Habib is for sure in your camp and is for sure helping you out, for sure training with you. If someone could beat you, they're going to want to do it, and they're going to try to do it. So you're definitely going to be going to have a target on your back because of that. So it's all on Saeed going forward. And yeah, I'm excited to watch him fight. I'll definitely be tuning in and checking out every time Saeed performs, especially if he's able to put on a performance like he did today or last night.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better. Yeah, definitely an interesting fighter to watch going forward here. So, and then the next fight, which you mentioned as well, heavyweight bout between Jared Vanderaa and Chase Sherman. And yeah, this was a solid fight. Coming into the event, Chase Sherman was on a four-fight winning streak, but that changed against the struggling veteran heavyweight Jared Vanderaa. Sherman was able to outdo Vanderaa in the first round, landing a solid combo to get a TKO. Plus, was awarded the performance of the night by the UFC. Vanderaa now looks to piece together his UFC career as he falls fast. I don't have his loss streak, but I think he's working on 2 or 3 at this point and has really struggled. recently here and struggles again last night as Sherman did look really good, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I thought both these guys looked pretty decent in this fight. There was times where I thought both guys were landing pretty decent strikes. Um, but yeah, ultimately, I think you know, the vanilla gorilla Chase Sherman was able
Yeah,
to. Well, I love that nickname too. It's so fucking
same.
funny. And I've seen Chase Sherman fight a few times now. So I kind of knew what kind of fight I was expecting getting to it. But yeah, it was a nice heavyweight fight in the UFC. I mean, you kind of grow to expect how heavyweight fights can be. It's going to be a knockout, or you're going to get like two really big guys that are hella tired. And I think that in this fight, you got a lot of back and forth action. Guys were hitting each other with big shots on both sides, and Chase Sherman was able to put him away and get the TKO. So definitely shout out to that dude. Shout out to his nickname, and hopefully Vendera is able to get some wins, get another fight booked, and get some wins under his belt to kind of right the ship a little bit. Because and especially at heavyweight, like it's so volatile. Like you can be on a win streak and be going good, and then the next time you fight, you get clipped and get knocked out. So you got to just kind of get prepared for that, especially at heavyweight, and just get back on the horse and get back out there the next time. But yeah, it's definitely Chase Sherman's night, and I can't complain with the result. I thought it was a great fight, honestly. It was probably my fight of the night for sure, besides the main event. But yeah, I love this fight. It was great matchmaking, and I was definitely excited to see when Chase Sherman gets back out there.
Absolutely, yeah. And like you said, I may have been a little bit too harsh. I think like he really did put up an effort, but I think also and I mean you know this better than me, but they can be a little harsh sometimes as far as like if you're not putting together wins, even if you looked decent, kind of like going after guys. And I worry about him if he say puts up another loss or maybe two losses, he might be like in potential of just being cut.
Absolutely, I agree. I really do agree with you. And especially at heavyweight, dude, there really isn't time. There's new heavyweight contenders, like, and you can get shot up in the heavyweight ranks really, really quick. So if you're not careful, you could be on the receiving end of like a 3-fight skid, and then Dana will cut you. He don't give a fuck. So you gotta be careful, dude. You gotta be careful.
He's savage like that. It's
He
just how
is
it
savage
is.
with it.
All right. Well, with that, obviously we hope for the best for Vandera and hopefully he doesn't get cut. But we will move on to our next fight here. What would have been our next fight, I should say, women's flyweight between Cynthia Calvillo versus Nina Nunes. Unfortunately, Nina Nunes had to pull out of the fight citing a stomach illness. We wish Nunes the best, despite the cruelty of the MMA gods and taking away one of the more anticipated fights of the night. Obviously, was very much looking forward to that one. Uh, but yeah, hopefully she gets better, and hopefully maybe we can see it get put back in the lineup at some point.
Yeah, I think it's a good. I think it's a good flyweight fight. Love seeing Cynthia Calvillo fight. She's a Mexican American fighter. So I love seeing her fight. It's a very scrappy girl. I like to get after it. Likes to talk some shit while she's in there. And then also shout out Nina Nunes for who was formerly Nina Ansaroff for changing her last name to match her wife's as they are married. Especially getting out of June, which was Pride Month. We got to show love to our same-sex couples, and the champ and her wife doing their thing, getting the matching last names, and hopefully Nina's all right, and we can match up remade and on to the next one as soon as possible.
Absolutely, we'd love to see it. And yeah, hopefully we can see that fight at some point here, or if not, just for those fighters to get some fights pretty quick here. And then our last fight on the main card last night here, lightweight fight between Michael Johnson versus Jamie Mullarkey. They put up a fight of the night performance. earning $50K each after a back and forth 3-round bout in which both fighters landed knockdowns and connected well. Despite a strong performance from Michael Johnson, looking closer to his form of old than the 4-loss-in-a-row fighter we've seen more recently, with a knockdown in the first and then a strong push in the third, Malarkey did enough in all 3 rounds to outpoint Johnson and take the split decision home.
Yeah, and I agree with you for sure. I know that this is honestly, Michael Johnson's career just goes like this. Like, this is what his career is. You know, he gets on a skid like that, comes back, has a banger of a fucking a banger of a fight. You know, and obviously, you know, unfortunately, he lost. But like, this is Michael Johnson's career. Like, he just is one of those scrappy dudes that fights and gets out there and puts it all out there. And yeah, I mean, he knocked out Dustin Poirier. So, you know, when it comes to striking acumen and the striking prowess, he's definitely no joke. But, you know, and he's an OG in the game. Like, Michael Johnson's been fighting forever. He fought the who's who of, you know, 145 and 155. So you really just have to, you know, give the man his respect.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, nice to see him recover after, like you said, I mean, this has been his career, but always nice to see him recover and have a nice fight, even if he didn't win. So hopefully he can, you know, book another one and get back on the winning side. But yeah, with that, that is going to do it for us and for the fight show today. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been the Mile High Fight Show, and we'll see you guys next week.